Hi, this is Pitt coming to you from outside actually today. I thought I'd be outside because the weather's nice. I'm on today to give a preview, I guess you want to say, for my new teaching that I'm going to be doing on the book of Revelation starting this coming Monday at 6:15 in the morning. So I'm outside. I thought the weather was nice. I wanted to see how this works, so I think it's going to work okay. So we'll see how that goes. Long as the bugs don't start flying around. If they start flying around, you're gonna see me running and everything. So we'll see how this goes. How this goes working outside. I guess you guys can hear the birds, I guess. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let's see. Hey there, Della. How you doing? Yeah, okay, this sounds good. Hey, sure do miss you guys. And so we're going to be back teaching, I think. Right now I'm planning to do Revelations coming Monday, and it's so much material to do. I just got to figure out how to be able to do that and get that done in 45 minutes and not be on here for the rest of the year. So we'll see how that goes. Hey there, how you doing? How you doing, Minister Harris? Glad to see you all there today. So we'll see how this goes. But this is just to give you some information about what this course is all about, so you can decide if this is something that you want to get up. Well, you won't have to get up at 6. You have to get up before that. So I'm going to actually start at 6:15. But let me know if that works for you. If 6 is, I think I pushed it back to 6:15 because I end up going over sometimes, and it ends up being late. It runs into the time I need to get out to get to the Y and stuff like that. And I think most of you are already up anyway, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so thank you there, Minister Harris. We got good sound. Okay, good. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good and everything. So we had a good time in Hilton Head. I was so happy to go there just to get a chance to get some rest and get away and see the ocean and everything. It's the first time we got away this whole year, which is just crazy. But I was just really blessed to be able to go. We have a time that we go there this time every year. So we were happy that we were able to go. We felt safe. They did all kinds of things there to make it safe for us. So we were pretty happy to be there. So anyway, so thank you all for joining. I'm sure other people will hop on. We'll see how it goes. Again, I'm not going to hold you up that long. I just want to tell you a little bit about this course that I'm getting ready to do on the book of Revelations. So you can probably hear the goose, I think, are flying over my head right there. A whole bunch of them just flew by. So that's pretty neat to be out here. So let me go ahead, open up with prayer. God, we thank you because you're great. You're awesome, God. We thank you for the privilege, God, of just having technology where we can just be sitting in our yard, actually, God, and just talk to your people and share with your people, God. I thank you for this privilege to teach on the book of Revelation so that we can know, God, what's coming, God. You tell us that those that read that word are blessed by it. That's the only book in the Bible that you tell us that we're blessed because we read it. And so we're looking forward to reading that word and understanding, God, what you want to say to us in these last and evil days. So let the words of my mouth, meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Lord, you are strength, you are a redeemer. So, hey, thank you all for gathering there today. Don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to give you an overview. So basically, starting this Monday at 6:15, I'll be on and we'll be doing the teaching on the book of Revelation. So you guys can, of course, follow along, but there's also materials that you can get. There's actually a workbook, and I actually have it here in this binder. You probably can't see it well here, but it's about 50 pages, this 50-page workbook. And also all the other materials, because at the end of every week there'll be kind of like a quiz or some questions for you all to work on when you leave, and that you can have some information so when we come back the next time, because the book of Revelations is so deep and all. So I want to give you as much as possible. So anyway, there's a workbook and other materials that you can get. All you have to do is go to the Eventbrite and just buy your ticket. It's $20. So I think $20 might get you a cheesesteak and a soda or something like that. That's just to contribute to the ministry and everything. So I hope that you guys just do that. Just go ahead and, get your ticket. Then you'll have access to the Higher Heights Ministry page where you can download the workbook. It's 50 pages. And then there'll be other things that will be posted on there. Those of you who did the Ghost class, that the Acts class, basically, you guys know that there was lots of material. So the material will be on the Higher Heights Ministry page, but there'll also be a Google Drive for you to be able to go on there and pull up documents. In addition to that, at the end of the week on Thursdays, when we get to those topics, I'm going to be on Zoom where I'm going to actually do some presentations. And those presentations are going to be some more background detail information, like where the book of Revelations talks about Babylon. And so I'm going to talk about Babylon, the Babylon that he talks about from the historical standpoint and the empirical standpoint. So there's a book out called The Two Babylons. It's I guess it's a very old book, and I guess I've had that book for maybe 40 years or so. So we're going to talk. So on the Zoom, we'll get into more detail, more historical detail on the Zoom. And so you'll have access to that link when you get your ticket to get the workbooks and stuff like that. So on that Zoom, we're going to do some in-depth teaching on Babylon, more teaching on Daniel's vision, more teaching on the Mount Olive discussion that Jesus had, the Mount Olive discourse, and then a lot of detailed teaching on the rapture, where you can ask questions, and it'll actually be a PowerPoint presentation. So think about that, and what you want to do. But of course, this is free. This will be shown on my page here, and on a Daughters of Zelophehad page. And from what I can see here from the audience, all of you are members of that Daughters of Zelophehad page. So what I might do is I'll probably at least put the questions on the Daughters of Zelophehad page, so that you guys that are not getting a ticket can still have access to those questions. All right, so let's just go ahead now, and I'm just going to do a quick overview of the things that I'm going to cover. And again, like I said, it's about 50 pages in this workbook. It's a lot of material. And so let's talk about it. So the first part of that is I'm going to spend some time talking about why we need to study the book of Revelation, why it's written, why it's important, what we will find out. So I'll start that up Monday, and then we'll go into the churches. There's 7 letters written to the 7 churches, and there will be a map where you can follow along and see where these churches are. So as we talk about the churches, I'm asking you guys to look at these churches from 2 points of view. So these churches were real churches. So we're going to look at them from the historical point of view, as far as the destination that Jesus is talking about, the description of the church, the diagnosis of the church, and then the declarations about the church, the demands of the church, and then basically the distinctions about that church. So in all of those cases. So on that one hand, we're going to look at the historical church, the real churches that the letters were written to. But then on the other hand, we want to look at the spiritual person, because we are the church, right? So we have to look at that as God is talking to us, as we are the body of Christ. I am a part of the ecclesia, the church. And so what is it that I need to know about what God is saying and what God expects from the church? So again, the destination, the description, the diagnosis, the denunciation in many cases where he says, I've found something wrong, then a declaration that he says about that church, and then the demands to that church, what does he expect from that church, and then what are the distinct characteristics of that church. So we're going to spend a lot of time looking at the churches. Number 2, we're going to look at the church versus the kingdom of God, because Jesus talked more about the kingdom. And so we're going to look at that from that perspective. And so what I want to say right off the bat is that I'm teaching this from the viewpoint of pre-tribulation. Pre-tribulation. And that's important for you to understand, because I'm not going to get into any debates about, when the rapture happens, does Jesus come back? Does he physically come back, or anything like that? I'm teaching this strictly from the pre-tribulation point of view. That's what I believe. That's how I've studied it. And that's how I'm going to teach it here. I'm putting my, stake in the sand. And the reason why I say that is because there are three different distinct views. One is pre-tribulation. That gives the idea that there's going to be a rapture. There's a rapture that's going to happen, and then there's a 7-year tribulation, there's a 1,000-year reign, and then there's the everlasting. That's the pre-tribulation. And then there's another view that there's a post-tribulation, that all of this happens after the tribulation. And then there's an millennium view where there's no millennium, there's no reign, there's no rapture, anything like that. So there's three different views. So my view that I'm teaching from is pre-tribulation. So you guys can Google that to see what that means, so you'll know where I'm coming from. So that's how I'm going to teach that. So we're going to look at these 7 churches. We're going to look at the kingdom aspect of it, what Jesus is talking about, and what the disciples were expecting when he told them certain things. And we'll see a lot of that. We're going to actually we're going to not just look at the book of Revelation. We're going to spend some time in Matthew 24, 25. We're going to spend some time in Daniel. We're going to spend some time in Zechariah. So it's going to be a lot that we're going to be looking at. Now, then after Jesus addresses the churches, then you see a door open. And so we believe that that's the rapture of the church. So at that point, then we'll be teaching some stuff about the rapture. There's a lot of teaching that we're going to be doing, I think, from chapters 5 to 8, looking at the 7 seals, the 7 bowls, the 7 vials, the 7 trumpets, the 7 woes, and all of that. So that we're going to get into detail on that, explain that, to see what that means and everything. Then there's going to be a time in it where revival is going to come, where God tells the angel to seal 144,000 on their foreheads, and then they're going to be evangelized to preach the gospel. So we're going to talk about that, talk about the harvest, talk about judgment time. We're going to look at chapter 12, where we're going to see war in the heavens, talk about the fall of Satan. We're going to talk about Babylon the Great. Now, again, we're going to spend some time looking at Babylon the Great as we're looking at the book of Revelation. But on Zoom, we're going to get into it in detail. We're going to look at the origins of Babylon. When did it start? It started at the Tower of Babylon. And so there's key people that were involved. There's certain things that happened. There's things that were brought into the church. A lot of this is going to be very sensitive. So you're going to have to put your big girl pants on or whatever, because some of this is going to be quite sensitive, especially when we do the Zoom part, because that's going to be no holds barred, because only the people that have access to that link will be on that. So that's going to be kind of rough. Those of you who have been with me, I know Sheila is on here, Finay, and some of you guys, y'all have been in some of my Revelation teaching, so you guys probably know what I'm talking about. So that's going to be pretty rough. Chapter 13, we get into looking at the Antichrist. And so there's descriptions of the Antichrist. We're going to dissect that. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at him in connection to the European, what's happening in Europe. We're going to look at him in connection to what's happening over in Israel, in Russia. We are also going to look at Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, because Magog and Meshech, this is in the Russian area. And so we're going to look to see what part they have to play. So it's going to be quite interesting as we look at this, as we dissect this. So then, again, we're going to look at all of those things in a lot of detail. We're going to look at, let me see, where I think I missed the page here. Where's the rest of my notes? Yes, we're going to spend some time looking at the Antichrist and the beast, the false prophet. Who is this false prophet? What is it that he does? Why is he important? And that kind of thing. And why it's clear who the Antichrist is. We're going to talk about the mark of the beast. We're going to talk about technology, how everything is leading its way up to the mark of the beast. We can see that. We're going to talk about these 7 angels with the 7 vials. We're going to talk about these bad bowls that get emptied out. The fact that Babylon falls. We're going to look at the economic conditions and what happens to the economy, what happens to a lot of things like that. Climate change, climate change is very important. And so we're going to see some of the things that's going to be happening when we're looking at the book of Revelations as it relates to climate change, because some of the things that's happening right now in the cosmos, in the earth, are going to lead and make possible some of these things that God talks about happening in the book of Revelation. So we're going to look at that. And then when we get to chapter 19, we're going to look at the marriage supper of the Lamb. We're going to look at those foolish brides, and you're going to be very surprised at these brides. You're going to be very surprised at the brides, because I think people have a thought about who those bridemaidens are, who those virgins are. And so we're going to look at those virgins because it's important. There's 3 different groups of people in that story. There's 3 different groups of people in that story. And so my question for you is going to be, who are you in that group that he's given that analogy? Because you think that there's only 2. Well, of course, there's the wise version and the ones that weren't so wise, and then of course the groomsmen. But there's 3 groups of people, and so the question to you is going to be, which one are you? So we're going to look at the marriage wedding of Jesus Christ, right? The marriage supper. Who is this bride? Who are the guests at the wedding? Because remember, there's a wedding. The bride and the groom are there, and so we know from what the Bible says is that the church is the bride. But always at a wedding, there are guests there. So the question is now, are you going to be the bride, or are you going to be the guest? Or are you going to be the rejected? 3 groups of people: bride, guests at the wedding, or the rejected, the ones that's on the outside that can't even be there. So it's going to be quite interesting when we look at that. And then we're going to look at the second coming of Christ, right? The second coming. The rapture of the church is not the second coming. I think a lot of people get confused about that. The rapture of the church is not the second coming, because when he comes back again, he's coming back to the earth. The rapture comes in the air. He doesn't physically come back to the earth. Remember, he comes in the air, those that will meet him in the air. Now, the angel, when Jesus left, they was looking up as he go, and they say, why are you looking at him? What you shocked about? Why are you surprised? This same Jesus that you see leaving now is coming back the same way. So we're going to look at how he comes back to the east gate, and all of that. We will be looking at that in detail in the book of Zechariah. So you guys need to get all of those. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at this beast that's talked about, that gets the wound to his head. What does that mean? And I talked to you about the fact that we are going to look at Ezekiel 38. There's also a puzzle, and I want you guys to start thinking about this puzzle. I think it's found in Luke 24. I'm not sure. I didn't write it in my notes. But there's a puzzle. Jesus is saying something very odd. He says that the end days or the last days are going to be like this. Some are going to be working in the field. There are going to be 2 people working in the field. One's going to be taken and one's going to be left. Then he says there's 2 people in the bed. One's going to be taken and one's going to be left. Now, it's a puzzle, and I think that you're going to be amazed at what that puzzle means, because I think that we've been looking at it the wrong way. So I want you to look at that, and I want you to think about it. I want you to look at what it says in Luke 24, find the other scriptures that relate to it, and then there's a question that one of the disciples asked, and then Jesus answers that question. And so what I want to tell you is that you got to be careful about which one of those ones you want to be, because one is, there's 2 in the field, and it's a riddle. 2 in the field, one's left and one's taken, and there's a question asked. And then Jesus gives the answer to the question. So I want you to look at that. That's kind of funny. So this is going to be quite interesting, quite exciting. So we're going to look at that. Revelations 20, we're going to get into the judgment seat. What happens at the judgment seat, the Lamb's book of life and all of that. 21, we're going to look at the new heaven and the new earth. 22, then we're going to look at what happens. As we end this, then, hello, thank you for joining. As we end this, we're gonna ask the question, now that we've studied this book of Revelation, what is it that God expects us to do? And then what is this last invitation that we see in Revelation chapter 22, verses 17 to 21? So that's the overview. It sounds interesting to me, so I want to know if it's interesting to you. You guys looking forward to it? I won't be up here next Monday at 6:15 all by myself. Again, there's this workbook. It's got 50 pages. You get a lot more as we go along. I think I will put the quizzes on the Daughters of Zelophehad page so that those of you who do not get the ticket to get the workbook, you can still participate by getting the quizzes off the Daughters of Zelophehad page. Now, if you're not a member of the Daughters of Zelophehad page, go to that page now and request to join. But I think from what I see on here now, all of you are members. So request to join that, okay? So now, if you get the ticket, $20, then you get access to the materials and you get access to the Zoom sessions where we'll be doing the presentation with the information behind the scenes, because I can't go into that kind of detail in the mornings. You need to know about Babylon. You need to know about the historical Babylon. You need to know about the empirical Babylon. You need to know about Babylon. So, but I don't have time in the mornings, but we're going to do that on Zoom. So you get the Zoom link when you do that. So thank you all for joining. Excuse my cap and all of that, but I'm outside in my yard. It's so nice out here. And so I'm so happy to be out here, and thank God the bugs didn't get me that bad. So I survived out here. It's really nice. So thank you all for joining. Hey, Sheila, thank you there. Hey, Lily Hall, glad to see you there. Sister Octavia, everybody, thank you all for joining. Thank you all so much for your support, because I was really struggling. As my husband knows, I kept whining and all. I don't know if I want to do this because the book of Revelation, but the Lord has pushed me to do it. And if you guys just come on and encourage me, I'll do the best that I can on these mornings. We're just going to do it 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I just need you guys on to push me, encourage me, share it, let people know. And we will see you here on Monday the 12th, right? It's the 12th. Monday the 12th at 6:15 a.m. And also don't forget that starting the week after that, we're going to be doing our Bad Girls teaching. So obviously I'm going to be quite busy. So thank you. God bless you. Please share. Let your friends know. And give me some thumbs up. Let me know that this is something that you're interested in. Hey there, Lily. Thank you very much for your hands and all. Thank you. It's good to have you guys. It's good. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it, because it is not easy. Some people say I make it look easy, but God knows it is not easy to get on here and teach something live. So God bless you. Thank you for the emojis. Thank you all for your prayers, for us, for my sister and all of that. You guys are just the best. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys here on Monday. Pray for me. Pray for me. God bless you. We will see you Monday morning at 6:15. God bless.